Show Harvey Bertrand, Jim Olson, Jim Bialecki, Mayor Joe Chilson is in attendance. Also, Finance Director Fred Bueller and Hope Burchell, the HR Director. 2, approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Jim Olson.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 3, public input. Is there anyone wishing to address the Finance and Personnel Committee? Again, anyone wishing to address the Finance and Personnel Committee? Third and final call, anyone wishing to address the Finance and Personnel Committee? If not, we'll move on. Finance 4, Omni Center Financials. Fred?
Okay. We have the Omni Center financials attached in your packet, dated 2/28 of 2017. What we have is the additional revenue that was not recorded on here due to the timing of these statements going out, and that the room tax was not all in for the month of January, which is due at the end of February, which was an estimated of another $6,500. So a total surplus of $34,017 over the expenditures. And that's about all I have at this point for the Omni Center.
Well, then I think Dan Wick ought to be commended for that, because there was a number of years there was quite a struggle, without a doubt. I make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 5, general fund financials. Fred again.
Okay, in your packet is the financials dated 3/23 of 2017. The revenue represents revenue almost through the month of March, and the expenditures are February bills that are paid in March, so two months' worth of expenditures have been expended to date. On the expenditures, other than that, I have nothing more to report on the financials that were at this point.
Questions to Fred?
Fine.
Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the general fund financials.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Authorization to approve the iWordQ module for inspection and planning departments. Right again.
Okay, I'm going to actually turn it over to Jared, do you, but I can tell you this item did go to the IT committee, and the IT committee has approved it, but we also need to run it through the finance personnel because of the dollar value. It was a budgeted item in the year of 2017.
And I do recall reading that in their minutes, everything. And they do, Hope, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the inspection department is mandated for 2018 that they must be able to allow people to go on and do the permitting online. And so part of the reason why we're looking at the iWorks is to do that. And that system is something we already have in place with the utility department and street department. So, but this is an additional module. There are other municipalities that are also utilizing this system, and it seems to work well for them as well. So we're just asking for approval for that.
And this has been budgeted for?
This has been budgeted.
Okay, with that said, I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Jim Olson. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Fred. Under personnel, review and consideration, authorization to replace Zach, the canine dog, and purchase a new canine dog. Chief, comments?
Well, we knew this time would come in 2009 when we got Jack. Jack is running right at 10 years of age. That's about the right age for a canine for the working years.
I'm sorry, how many years?
He's 10 years old. When he came in 2009, he was about 18 months old at that time. We're looking at retiring him out in September 2017. Between now and then, working with FM Canine out of Elkhart, Indiana, which is where we got Jack from. They're the kennel that I'm most familiar with, and they actually served us well with Jack when they picked him for us. So this is just basically asking permission to proceed with replacing him. As we put in the memo, the money is there for the replacement. It's a budget neutral thing. The one thing about this, I got the total expenditure price on here at $15,700, but that's just kind of a ballpark. We did the best we could. We won't know until we actually do the order if allowed to do so.
Okay, good. With that said, I make a motion to authorize the chief and the police department to replace Zach, the K-9.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Under discussion,
No Jordans for Jack.
no. What'll happen to him when this is done? Someone will take him as a pet?
He will stay with the handler till
All right,
till
that
actually the vet that takes care of our canine and the vet actually gives us free services. Jack was one of the first dogs that he started taking care of, and now he takes care of several dogs, including the state patrol dogs. So he's been very generous. My understanding is the veterinarian will actually provide services through the life of Jack as well to give him a good caring.
This transition reminds me of another community once where they had to do the same thing, same age, and retire, wanted to bring a new one. So they invite a lot of people, the media, everyone showed up too, until they brought the dogs and they forgot to introduce them. And they both went nuts.
Yeah, that can definitely happen.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, did we take our vote?
You did, I just
All
need a
right.
motion.
I didn't mean to scare, we had a motion on it.
You have a motion and a second, but you didn't actually,
And that was my question. All in
All
favor
right.
of the motion signify by saying
Aye.
Aye. I'll take that one for obscuring the point. Thanks, Chief. Thank you. Yep.
Thanks, Chief.
8, review and consideration of the changes to the laborer's pay scale to add level E for the crew leader position. Hope?
essentially, this is part of the reorganization that we're doing for the utility department. And one of the things that we looked at is with redoing all of the job descriptions, we have the ability to put the public works manager and the assistant public works manager into our normal pay grade, but we don't have an additional level for a crew leader. We feel that they need to be paid a little bit higher because they're going to be doing basically both the laborers and the operators and supervising them. So what we've put in here is $2 over the highest one there for the additional responsibilities, because they're going to be assisting the assistant and manager quite profusely. And I think Jared can maybe answer any other additional questions. But
And I read through everything. Everything makes sense. Hope's answered some questions. Fiscally, we're good there too?
Yes, correct. I went through and did a spreadsheet of all the positions within the department, 21 positions. Once we're done backfilling with some newer positions, we'll actually be a little bit less, but you got to remember we're starting people at lower pay grades, so it's going to be budget neutral.
Okay, good. With that said, I make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Discussion on that motion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. 9, review and consideration of the job descriptions for the organization of the street and utility department with option number 16. Hope, if you want to do this, just highlight everything A through K, and unless there's any question or concerns with any one or more of them job descriptions, we just make one compound entry, right?
basically, when Jared and I reviewed the job descriptions, and Jared did a majority of the work on this, so I thank him because that takes a lot of time to review all of these job descriptions and try to make sure we incorporate everything. But what we really tried to do is to look at both departments, make them as universal as possible, and to make them as similar as possible with the tasks and duties. This position for the manager obviously is going to be in charge of both street and utility. The assistant manager is going to assist with that, but I think there's also going to be some separation a little bit, because I think this position, the intent is to hopefully help with like cross connections, meters, things like that, the SCADA system. Our crew leader position, that one would be, again, kind of overseeing both departments once they've been combined, and needing somebody that has the experience and knowledge in both areas is going to be difficult. There's going to be a learning curve no matter what it is, but I think what we've done is we've tried to open it up to say no matter who gets this position, as long as they get their water license within a year, there should be no problem with coverage. Then we looked at the
One
lead.
more thing.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Just to point out that the crew leader is still a working position, so it's it's a position that they're going to be scheduling activities and work duties for the department, but they're still a working position. So we're trying to get more hands into the work, more hands to get the duties done. That's what one of the things we're trying to do here, so.
Sorry.
No, it's-
Thank you. Jump in again if I'm not catching something. That we have 2 lead positions. One, we're looking at a lead laborer, and one, a lead operator. We did 2 different job descriptions, just thinking that if we had somebody that had one skill set with the utility operator certification and then one without it, they'd at least be leading those particular groups with assistance from the crew leader. And then the operator position, and then the labor position. So basically, it's combining the majority of with the operator being more the utility type work, but they're also going to be backups for a lot of the street work. Vice versa with some of the things with the laborers. Mostly, it's going to be a lot of the street typical type duties, but there's going to be assistance with the utility operators as well with things that don't directly relate to the DNR certification that's required. We have the cross connections meter technician position, which we used to have, and then we eliminated that as part of the reorg the last time we did it. We've put it back in. We need somebody to be able to do the cross connections and meters. That's an important part of the department. And that was graded at that same level when we had it previously, so we really didn't make a significant amount of changes to it. The mechanic, again, there was minimal changes to this. Most of these positions, we just really looked to make sure a lot of the requirements and related functions were very similar. And obviously, most of these positions are going to need to have a CDL. And then we have a cemetery public works laborer. So this person, basically, they're doing a lot of the cemetery functions. When they're not doing those, they're doing the labor functions in the Public Works Department. Currently, we have somebody that does this. There's no additional pay for it, but essentially it's just kind of assigning those duties to one individual instead of having them all over the place. We kind of have a designated individual right now, but when they're not here, they do that, but this would just kind of cement that relationship a little bit. And I think, does that cover them all, Jared? Did I miss anything?
Okay. Good. With that said, I'm going to make a motion to approve all the job descriptions identified under 9A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and K.
Second.
Second by Harvard Tran. Is there any questions?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm just curious, over time, let's say last 4 or 5 years, has your staffing and numbers changed much or stayed pretty stable?
Probably in the last 15 years, the Public Works Department staffing has basically been status quo. Lost a couple individuals in the street department back in the middle 2000s, gained one of those individuals back in the late 2000s, gained a management position, so we kind of are about where we were 15 years ago. We've gained 1 employee in the utility department. So that's the reason we're trying to do items to make sure at different times of the year, different duties. Hopefully we can combine those duties and get as much out of our staff, trying to do all those, it's flushing right now in the spring, plowing snow in the winter. We can designate bodies, full-time equivalent staff to do those duties. I can see with more mandates coming, stormwater, water, things like that, there's eventually, the addition of well number 9 with the capabilities now where we have to treat the water just takes more time. So over time, we're going to see probably a request for a utility individual at some point, but we're going to try and see where we go with this, get all of our ducks in a row, see where our efficiencies are before we would ask for that.
Harvey, I can talk to that a little bit there too, because I remember that very well. At the end of the day, that Jared refers to, there were probably a couple of retirements that were back-to-back. But at that time, evaluation was done in the Department of Positions, and they found that they cross-trained them. In certain months, if there's downtime, others could pick that up. But as Jared says, in time with growth and other needs, one more person got added back, and then the staff member, obviously for administrative, for regulatory, and whatever reasons.
Not that it would affect staffing, but have you seen any changes in regulations in this state coming out of that Flint, Michigan issue?
Oh, yeah. We already tested for lead and copper within the city of Onalaska, and Though that testing is, we do 30 samples, takes a long time to get into those homes. They have to test it a certain way. We have been doing this for a long time now, but what's happening now is the EPA is giving more pressure to all the state agencies, so ours is the Wisconsin DNR, to come in, double checking to make sure the testing is done properly, making sure you're doing it at the right spots. There's certain houses that you're supposed to be doing it at certain levels of risk for lead, whether it's soldering or lead services. So there's a lot more scrutiny now that we're seeing from our regulatory agency with lead and copper sampling.
And probably nitrates, I guess, are looked at more than they were 15 years ago, I would assume. Well, no, we don't have any. I guess that would be out there in Holland, though. We don't have nitrate issues.
Yeah, we test for nitrates once a year. Some of our wells get put into a quarterly sampling, but our nitrate levels are below the 10 milligrams per liter, which is the maximum contaminant level the EPA has set.
I'm sure we discussed that sometime. Excuse me for asking.
And actually, Jared puts out an annual report that identifies all those tests and stamps.
Correct. The Consumer Confidence Report's a very good tool. I would recommend that the citizens actually look at that report, and if they garner any questions, give us a call. But that's a very good report, shows what has happened in our water system during the year.
And I think it's a case where the state of Michigan has those same standards because they're federally imposed. It's just some of them chose not to follow them. Anyhow, any further discussion on the motion? Any other questions at all? If not, all of you that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Before we move on, I'm going to back up to the Omni Center. I figured you'd perk up, but I want to commend you for what we saw here today, operating that facility at the Black. That's been a long time coming, and considering the threats that you've had with that facility, it's admirable. Okay, 10, review and consideration of authorization to post, advertise, and fill the following positions due to the Public Works reorganization. Hope?
Okay, so what we're looking at doing, I attached a timeline. It's rather optimistic, but at the same time, it just gives us some guidelines and hoping, depending on if all the situations occur the way we want them to, and everybody's schedules are going to work with the timeline, that's when we'll get things done. But what we're looking to do is to post and advertise both externally and internally for the Public Works Manager and the Assistant Public Works Manager. We're going to do the Public Works Manager first, and then once that position's filled, then we would like to do the Assistant Manager so that the manager can be part of the process of interviewing. Then the remaining positions, the crew leader, the 2 lead positions, cross connections, and the cemetery position we'll do internal postings for. We feel that we have enough candidates that would either be interested in some or several positions, and we want to be able to promote within if we can. So we're just asking for approval for that.
With that said, I make a motion to approve the authorization to post, advertise, and to fill the following positions in Public Works that are identified under 10A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Okay, question.
Got to get a second.
Second.
Second by Harvey Bertrand. Jim?
Yeah, are these all new positions?
Well, by virtue of what we just did, but since they are new, even if you're going to use internal staff, our policy says you go to the internal posting first,
Okay.
but the best would win. If there's no successor there, you go to the outside.
Okay, can you give me two questions?
Okay.
When you reevaluate these positions, whether they're new or otherwise, are you the one that does that?
Evaluating the positions.
Correct.
Correct. I wrote the job descriptions, Hope went through them.
All right, thank you. Do you know what the total fiscal impact to the budget will be?
Correct. That
And
is
these are
the
full- and these are
spreadsheet
full?
that I could actually hand out tonight that lists all 21 positions within the Public Works Department.
Okay.
And we went through and listed what they are currently, what they are in the proposed wage. And with the proposed wage, I'm being conservative on my assumption for the Public Works Manager and the Assistant Manager of being at a certain step, or pay grade, but actually conservative in a relatively high step. So I'm conservative in that regard. And I'm assuming backfilling of positions that would be open. Now, the only thing would be is that those, like I said before, some of those positions would be starting at the bottom of the ladder. So, if you're starting at the bottom of the ladder, you've got movement up. But with that being said, we are still approximately 15,000 under.
Okay.
So, but I don't want to say we're 15,000 under because those are eventually going to meet again. So that's really nice. I really feel we're budget neutral.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. 11 is
Thanks, Jared.
closed session. To consider a motion to convene a closed session under Section 1985, Parent 1, Parent G of the Wisconsin statutes for the purpose of conferring legal counsel for the governmental body who is writing oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, and in this case, it's a claim regarding a city snowplow incident on March 1st, 2017. If any action is required in open session as a result of the closed session, the committee will reconvene in open session to take the necessary action and/or continue on with the printed agenda. I'll make a motion to go into closed session at time 7:35 p.m.
Second.
Second by Jim Olson. Answers, your name is called Harvey? Aye. Jim?
Aye.
And I myself were in closed session.